Hi there, Miss Leslie here from Salinas Public Library. I'm going to talk to you today about our Preschool Kits to Go. We've just released our second kit, and we are going to be releasing a new one with completely new materials and ideas every 2 weeks. So be sure to get one every time we release one. Now, the activities that you're going to find in here are for little ones, ages 3, 4, and 5, the preschool years. And they're all different things that will help your child get ready for kindergarten. We really want to encourage early literacy. And now, don't worry, that doesn't mean that we want your child to be reading by age 2 or 3. No, early literacy is just what a child knows about reading and writing before they actually learn how to read and write. So we talk about there being 5 practices of early literacy, and those are things that you can and probably already do with your kiddo every single day. And they're really easy. They are talk, sing, read, write, play. Now, some of these activities are going to practice 2 or 3 of those practices all at once. Some of them will just focus on one, but the more you can talk, sing, read, write, play with your little one, the better they will be prepared for kindergarten and eventual schooling. So let's take a look in this bag, find out what's in there, and start some playtime.
Let's take a look and see what we have in our kit this week. You should have a set of 5 pages, as well as one on thicker cardstock. You should have about 20 little foam leaves of 4 to 5 different colors and 3 to 4 different types. You should have 6 clothespins, 15 silk leaves. They're called silk. I don't think it's really silk, but 15 leaves that you can play with, 6 acrylic leaves, and 1 foam dice. Oh, and I missed one thing, and that is a small packet of Wiki Sticks. Let's get started with the fun. Let's take a look at this one first. It should be the first paper in your packet. You'll see that we have 4 different large squares. Within each there are 4 different images, one of which is different somehow. So this is a good opportunity to talk about things that are the same and different, and take a look and see if you can spot the differences. So obviously in the first one, they're all 3 of them are orange and 1 of them is a darker color. You can use these plastic leaves to cover up the one that is different. And then make sure that you talk about what is different. So obviously this one is color. This one is both size and orientation. This one is size and color. And this one is orientation. And it's going to be a lot harder to pick out the difference in this one as, say, it is in this one. But so go ahead and try that. Talk about, as I said, the differences. And if you're wondering why we do an activity like this, when kids learn the alphabet, learn to read the alphabet, they have to learn to distinguish between letters that look very much alike. So for instance, the lowercase b and the lowercase d and the lowercase p are all the exact same shape. They're just flipped in orientation. So that's the type of thing that we consider visual discrimination, and it is very important when they start to read. But for now, just have fun with it. Here's an activity that uses those little acrylic leaves again, and I am sorry you only got 6. I'd intended for everyone to get 10, but the packages that I ordered did not contain the number that they promised, so we'll just make do with our 6. So that actually works out because we're going to use this foam dice. Here's a game that you can play with this. Just roll the dice, and then you're going to have to count to recognize that number. Kiddos will eventually recognize this as a 3, that 1, 2, 3 is a group of 3, but they'll probably have to count the dots. You want to make sure you're pointing to them as you do count so that you're showing that 1-to-1 correspondence. For each number you say, it represents 1 item. So 1, 2, 3. And then you might want to explain that the last number we count actually tells you how many are there total. I know it seems obvious to us, but that's a step in mathematical development that kids will have to get. So if you get your 3, then you can make your 3, and you can even try to copy the direction of the dice, make it look exactly like the dice, and then you could trick them up. Well, what happens if you turn it? How do you make that number? Yeah, so things like that, and it's always fun to roll a dice. So again, roll it, count, lay out that number, and okay, this would be an easy one if you just change the orientation, it stays the same. Another thing to do with these little acrylic leaves is to hide them somewhere and then give your little ones some clues as to where they are. So you might say, I hid the red one under the container. I hid the yellow one on top of the dice. Or to just sort of do the reverse of that and ask your child to put it where you say. So put 2 red leaves on top of the dice. There we go. This is an activity that allows you to focus on the size of things. We've got a set of 5 trees on the top and a set of 5 leaves and a visual depiction of getting larger. So we start small, getting bigger, medium, getting bigger, large. And you can come up with different words, talk about some other words that mean small, tiny, petite, mini. Talk about some other words that mean big, large, giant, enormous. Really work on those vocabularies and think of some words that maybe you don't use in your everyday language, but that you can expose your child to, and then they will adapt that into their vocabulary. So now with this sheet, there's a couple of different things you could do. You could go back to your acrylic counters and use them. You could say something like, put the red leaf on the biggest tree. So here, not only do we have small, medium, large, but we'll have smallest and biggest, which is another concept. Put the green leaf on the smallest tree. So you could do something like that. You can always also make this a pencil and paper or crayon and paper game. You could ask them to start with their crayon on the smallest tree and then look and see which one is the next biggest. As that tree is growing, what will be the next picture? And then you could have them draw a line to that and continue on. The next one, the next one, the next one. You could do the same thing with the leaves. You could reverse order. Start at the largest leaf, then move to the next largest. So you could do that again. You could find some items maybe in your house and see if you could match them to the small, medium, and large. You can also use this concept to work on social emotional learning. So you could talk about something in your child's life that might be a small problem, might be a medium-sized problem, or might be a big problem, and talk about what they would do. So a small problem might be, you spilled the leaves. Not a big deal. That's a small problem. That's easy to fix, unless you're a toddler. And the way to fix that is just to clean it up. Now, a bigger problem might be if one of these broke and it was sharp. That would be a bigger problem. How would they handle that? So talking about emotions and problems are all good things that will help prepare them to deal with various social interactions in the future. And now, too. We all deal with those emotions, particularly these days. All right, let's take a look at these leaves. You should have about 15 of these, and they should have probably 3 different colors. I tried to count out 5 each of 3 different colors. Now mine for my example are not as well mixed because I was kind of taking the leftovers. So you could color sort these, or you can toss them up into the air. Oh, you see my hint of what I'm doing next. I like to sing the Leaves Are Falling Down song with this one, and we'll do that in a bit. Okay, so you probably noticed here that I have written on some of them. I took some of these leaves and I wrote the letters of my name. So I just used a Sharpie. Any marker should work on these. Pretty easy to do. And depending on where your little one is in knowing how to write their name, you can get them either to just find the first letter in their name, or if they can do the whole thing, oh, I'm sorry, I moved the camera. You just move them around until you can spell your name. Now, start with where you have to go. So if you're just recognizing one letter, just do with that, whatever you want to do. You should also take some practice to trace the letter, so you can hold the leaf and have them trace the letter with their finger. That will help them get to know the shapes of the letters. You can also talk about the sounds of the letter. L, 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 L. library, Leslie. Okay, so that's one. Now, you don't have to make these just letters, or you don't have to make them just uppercase letters. If you'd like, you can write on lowercase letters that will match these. So a lowercase of the letters in your name, and then find the ones that go together. So if this was a lowercase L, it would match the uppercase L, and then find a lowercase e and match to the uppercase E. So that's another way to do these. You can also write numbers on them. You can do whatever you want with these things, but the letters of the name is always a good place to start. And while we're talking about that, you can also take these leaves and make them into the shape. Okay, that didn't work too well. Make them into the shape of the letter. So we can make a great big L. Sorry, I'm out of screen again. A great big L, and again, draw it in the air. L, L, L. Let's move on. With these leaves, you can also use your dice and do a counting game. Roll the dice. Your child takes that many leaves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, working on all that counting. And then it's your turn. Oh, you got the same. What? There you go. You got 2. 1, 2. So you could continue doing that until all your leaves are gone, and then talk about who has the most leaves, who has the least leaves. With the leaves, you can make small groupings and work on recognizing a group of numbers without actually having to touch or to count them. So if we have this out, show me the pile that has 1 leaf. Boop. Show me the pile that has 3 leaves. Boom. So that's another way to play with these. One thing I forgot to mention, when you're doing the letters of the name, if you want to add some physical component in this, hide them somewhere else and then give them the clues of where the different letters are. So find the first letter of your name next to the chair. Find the last letter of your name under the table. So add that component of movement. You can also change the type of movement that they do. So walk to find the L, hop to find the E, turn to find the S. Add that physical element because we all know that little ones love to move. With your foam letters, you can do another matching. You can match the colors, or you can match the shapes. So find all of the leaves that are thin and pointy. Find all of the leaves that are maple leaves. So you can do that. So color match, shape match. You could even try the idea of stacking them up like we did last week with our little graph, so that we have a visual representation that easily shows us which has the most and which has the least. Oh, look at that. The oak leaves are winning. They have the most so far. Just as we did with the fabric leaves, we can write different things onto the foam leaves. So you could again write out the letters of your child's name on these dots, and then write the corresponding letters on the leaves, and then put them in the right place. Now when you do these, this is super tricky to peel these off, but it is good fine motor skill practice. So even if you, mom, or somebody grown up wants to just kind of fold an edge down, there will be a place for the child to pull and get that off more easily. So you could do that, as I said, matching letters. You can do numbers. You can use this with the dice again. Roll the dice to see how many leaves you're going to put on. I threw it right out there. So you're going to put 4 leaves on and count them up. So more fun with stickers, and you're probably going to stick these all different places. You could even do like a body part awareness game, like stick the sticker on your nose. And I won't show you, but I did just do that. Just don't stick it on your hair. Nobody wants to deal with that. This sheet is for some cutting practice, which of course builds those muscles in the hand. You want to make sure that you're using a pair of preschool size scissors, and also preschool safe. These ones are pretty flat. I think they still could cut hair, so beware. And kids, I think I mentioned last time, they're going to experiment with their handedness. Right now, they're probably not really dominant one or the other until they get a lot more practice with their muscles. So just let them try it out, whatever they do. Now, depending on your child's scissor skills right now, you might want to cut the strips first and then give them the smaller part, like each square to cut out, or you can let them do the whole thing. Once you do cut these out, they're going to make a little puzzle for you. So each piece is only going to have 2, but you've got something to match and something to talk about. Talk about the shapes of the leaves, talk about the colors, and you can put all those together as little puzzle pieces. Now, if you want to get trickier, mix them all up so they have to find which 2 go together, which is of course going to be using their brains to think about, ooh, what would go with what, and that will be some color matching. And if you're really good at that, I suppose you could try some upside down. See if they could tell which ones go together by matching the shape. So we can match 2 triangles, match the rectangles, match the waves. I don't know, whatever you want to call that one. With the cardstock page, you want to cut these out into their individual squares for these 6. The other one you're going to leave just as a strip. So there is our strip 1. And then these will be cut out into cards. Now I'm sure you can guess what I want you to do here, and that is to count them and match them to the written number. Now, here's where our clothespins come in. Did you think I was going to have you hanging up laundry? No. Pinching a clothespin takes a lot of work with that little pincher grasp, so that's another good fine motor development skill. So with this, you're going to ask them to put the clip on the number that is represented. So there you go. You just cover it up. Now you can turn these over and make your own matching. So again, if your child is working on larger numbers, add some more things in there. And you don't have to draw anything fancy. You could just draw like circles and put as many as you want on there. You can also write letters on here. You can match uppercase and lowercase again. You know your child best, you know where they are, so make it up the way that it will work best for you guys and your family. For a little bit more fun with the clothespins and leaves, you can get the leaf on there and then see if you can balance it. Maybe that's not a good camera angle for you, but I am just standing it up on the 2 ends, which takes a little bit of work sometimes. So you can make these all go together and then see if you can do a little domino effect. Let me put one more here and see if I can get it to fall down. You ready? Yes! Dominoes with our leaves and clothespins. With 1 leaf and 1 clothespin, you have a paintbrush, or you have a fan, or you have a tickler. So you can do another game with recognizing body parts. Tickle your head with the leaf, with the leaf, with the leaf. Tickle your head with the leaf. That's what I said. And then do that with all different body parts, or just do head and shoulders, knees and toes. You can make some of the leaves into finger puppets. Now, I didn't include anything, but if you have a pipe cleaner, I've actually just twisted a pipe cleaner around the stem of this one, and I've made them into finger puppets. So let's see if I can get those on there. And then you could use the leaves as you're doing the rhyme. So 5 little leaves, so bright and gray, were dancing about on the tree one day. The wind came along, blowing through the town, and 1 little leaf came falling down. Repeat that. Even if you don't use the leaves, doing the 5, 4, 3, you saw my finger wanted to go away there. 3, 2, 1 is pretty tricky. So it's working all those fine muscles in there. Now that song did mention blowing, and I forgot that I thought of another thing that you can do, and that is a leaf race. So if you have 2 different leaves and you just have to blow them, take turns blowing them to see who's going to get it across the table first. Oh, yellow one. Here's another one of the songs here. Now you're going to want to gather all your leaves for this one. And we're going to sing All the Leaves Are Falling Down. It's to the tune of London Bridge, so I'm sure it's going to be familiar to you. But doing this, you want to actually throw the leaves up in the air. All the leaves are falling down, falling down, falling down. All the leaves are falling down. It is fall. Take the leaves and rake them up. And this is a place where you might be able to say, how can you make a rake? And maybe we can put our clothespins together, or maybe use one of the pages. So make a rake, use these, come up with some ideas, do some problem solving, make some creations. And then the last verse of this is about jumping in the pile. Now I know this is a tiny little pile. It doesn't even do the word justice, but it's always fun to jump, and you have to jump on there. You could spread your leaves out and ask your child to jump from one to the other. You could use your letters again and say, start on the L, now run to the E. You would obviously spread them out because that's not very far to run. But add the movement, and it's going to add another element to the game and some more fun. Now the Wiki Sticks are actually something that you could use to make little puppets with the leaves. I mentioned the pipe cleaners, but you could do the same thing with these little Wiki Sticks. These you can bend and twist and do whatever you want. Well, sometimes you can make them do whatever you want. And the challenge with these was, I was just gonna say, make this a little STEM challenge, a science, technology, engineering, and math, and see what you can build that will hold some leaves up. Now, let's see if I can come up with anything for an example, because I didn't really think this one out. Just going with the flow. So, it's probably gonna be a little too long, but you could just come up with some ways of getting those leaves to stand up. And now you could bring the clothespins in on this too, and see, can you make a little forest of trees? So, no right or wrong. The big skill here is just thinking outside the box, coming up with ideas. And of course, the other component here is the social emotional component, and that is, chances are it's going to fall down or not do what you want. So it's a way to work through what happens when you don't succeed at something, what happens when your plan fails. So we really want to start building what's called a growth mindset, even in these early years. The idea that, it's not that you can't do it, it's that maybe you can't do it yet. And yet is a very important word, because that implies that you're going to be able to do it. So you work on building the skills so that you can accomplish things eventually. So growth mindset basically just means keep going, persevere, you're going to be able to do it. So I think that is all that I had planned for these. I know you're going to come up with lots more activities to do. And if so, we'd love to hear from you. Drop me an email or make a comment on the Facebook page. Let us know how you're doing with these things. Let us know if they're fun and helpful. And let us know what you've been doing with them. Thanks, everybody. Have fun. Remember to talk, sing, read, write, and play. Bye-bye.